Hello, everyone, and welcome to tonight's webcast. I am Krista Sanford, and tonight we're going to be talking about strategic planning for 2016 for your small business. It's super exciting. I know we're going to cover a lot of bases as we're planning for what's ahead for your small business. As we go through everything that we're going to cover, please ask some questions. If you have anything that you miss or you want to know more about, please feel free to enter those questions into the question box or the group chat section, and I'll be happy to answer those questions when we get to the Q&A at the end of the webcast. Like I said, I'm Krista. I help small businesses and large businesses to grow through people and operational solutions. And so that's why strategic planning is something that is pretty near and dear to my heart. And I think it's really important because large businesses or larger businesses, they do this on a more regular basis. And I think as smaller businesses, especially if we're solopreneurs or working on our own, we don't have a lot of time to think through or plan through these things. And so that's why now in November, December, January, it's really good to get ahead for the year to come. And because strategic planning is so important to me, hold on one second. I need to make one adjustment. All right, there we go. All right. So I believe that the crossroads of work and life are no longer dependent on what is going to be given to us, but rather on what we are willing to create. And so for entrepreneurs, for solopreneurs, this is especially important because we know that we are creating the lives and the work that we want to do. We're not waiting for the 9 to 5 to get our paycheck, to get our pension plan at the end of our career and when we retire. So nobody knows this more than entrepreneurs and small business owners. We're constantly creating, we're constantly doing new things and stretching ourselves to create what we want to create in this life. And so for me, strategic planning is really important because I'm constantly creating, but I really need to keep focus. And what I really want to keep focus on and what I really want to understand is not necessarily the way, but actually the why. I want to constantly be aligned with my why. And so strategic planning is really important so that I continue to stay aligned with that purpose, with what I'm trying to create in this lifetime and the way that I'm running my life. And you may feel very similarly as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, as an entrepreneur. It's all about staying aligned and making sure that we're constantly working toward that purpose or that passion that we have in mind. Sometimes we don't even have an option. We just have to do the work that we're doing. But strategic planning then allows us to, let's say in 2016, really show up and own it. Because we create this structure, we create a foundation for ourselves to reach the goals that we want to reach, while also staying aligned with that purpose and always making sure that we are going in the direction that we really want to go. But because we have that structure, we can flex around it. It's kind of like a diet or a financial budget. We put the plan in place, the structure in place to give us a general idea and to keep us focused. But then we can flow around that. We can flex around that when we need to and as circumstances change. Because I think as we all know, life happens. And we have to constantly adjust and ebb and flow to make sure that we are reaching those goals and continuing to grow as business owners. Now, a lot of people will give planning a little bit of slack because it's hard to predict the future. In fact, we can't necessarily predict the future. Really good statisticians may be able to help you understand what might happen to a little bit more predictability. But in this instance, all we're trying to do is plan for it. All we're trying to do is plan for what we want to get and then how we're going to get there. And so strategic planning is an organization's process of defining its strategy or direction and making decisions on allocating its resources to pursue the strategy. So what does this mean? It means putting that vision out there, putting those goals in place, those strategies in place, and then just figuring out how to get there along the way. But like I said, because we have that structure there, we can find the tactical and actionable things throughout the year that are going to help us stay aligned with our purpose, our goals, our mission, our vision. And that's what strategic planning is all about. And this evening, what we're going to walk through is how to go from your purpose, your mission, your vision, your values, which is your why, all the way down to your tactical roadmap, which are the actions you are going to put in place on a daily and weekly and monthly basis to make sure that you're reaching your goals in 2016. And so the first part that we need to be thinking about, and many of you might already have this information down, but it's your mission, your vision, your values, that purpose-based information that is really the guiding light of your entire business. And it should guide your goals. It should guide the way that you grow. It should guide the way that you even interact with your business, your customers, your employees. So these the mission, the vision, the values are really helping you to stay aligned with, like we said, the purpose, the why. Now, throughout the webcast tonight, I am going to share an example scenario. So in this case, I chose a travel company that provides healthy travel experiences for its customers. And the whole idea is that of this travel agency or company, this is all made up, so bear with me, but this travel company is always based on providing healthy experiences for its customers. And so their purpose and what they believe is that we can create healthy travel experiences for people. That's what they're here to do. The mission then is to create as many healthy travel experiences as possible that we can shift our view on travel as a society. And our vision is we envision a world where all people have access to and regularly choose healthy travel experiences. And then you just base your values on all of that, and it's what you believe. So be curious, care, share openly, find solution. So you can see how these things start to create that umbrella vision for what your business is and where it's going and what's really important to you as a company. Now, there are a lot of people out there who help with this brand strategy work. This is more brand-based, and there are a lot of companies out there who do this. I actually have a friend named Barry, and he owns an agency that is solely focused on building purpose into your business, because we know that if purpose is working within your business and you use that to make all of your decisions, you are more likely to grow at a much greater rate and probably to a much greater scale, because you're actually solving the needs of yourself, but also your customers. So this is your brand work and the foundation that's going to guide the rest of all of your strategic planning. So let's move on. The next section we need to consider of strategic planning are the company goals. So what are we actually trying to accomplish in 2016? I'd like you to think about, for your business, what would you ideally be doing in 12 months? What does that look like? What are the things that you see put in place? Based on that vision, what are 5 to 7 core goals for your business that you want to try to strive and achieve in the next year? So these are measurable goals. They could be revenue-based, they could be people-based, they could be community-based, but these are things that are really important to you and where you are in your business that you want to achieve in the next 12 months. Now, I'm saying 12 months, but you can also probably use 24 months, 36 months. But if you're in an early stage in your business, you want to really think about keeping it in as short term as possible, so that you're creating those marks. And maybe you plan out 12 months, and then you maybe plan out the next 12 months. But this at least gets you started with some foresight here. So with the example that we're using, the company goals for this travel company that's trying to create healthy travel experiences might be: number 1, to complete 3 group trips by the end of 2016. See how this is a little bit of a bigger goal. We want to ultimately create these 3 group trips. It's something that we have to strive for. We have to plan them out. We have to recruit people to do all of this stuff. So this is a big goal to achieve in 2016. Number 2, maybe that we want to reach $240,000 in annual revenue. So like I said, you can have revenue goals, and a lot of times this is a major goal for companies. So having something in there about revenue is really important. In order to create that goal, there's some legwork that needs to go on ahead of that. So understanding your expenses and your potential revenue and your customer strategy, all of those things are really important. But I assume that the majority of you on the call already have some of that foundation laid and that you're really just thinking about how to get to that next phase, that next step. So number 3 then is have a team of 3 people to help coordinate your trip. So like I said, this could be people-based or team-based. And maybe number 4, you throw in there that you want to open your first office, which could also be a really big goal. So like I said, about 5 to 7 company goals that you're striving for in 2016. These are in alignment with your mission, your vision, your values, but they're also stretching you to that next level. So the next one that we want to think about are these individual goals. Now, this is really important if you're an entrepreneur or if you're a solopreneur, or maybe you have a co-owner within your business. But it's really important to separate yourself from the business because you as an individual have your own goals. And they may be professional, they may also be personal, which we are going to include here. But really, these individual goals should relate back up to the company goals. And they're things that you individually want to achieve in order to reach the company goals. And so if we use this same example, here we can see that we're referencing company goal 1 and 2 by saying that this individual, let's say that you have a co-owner. If you own this business, you have a co-owner, and your job is to recruit 10 people for each trip. And the reason why that goal, that individual goal, relates back up to the company goal is because if you actually recruit and secure those 10 people for the 3 trips, well, then you have reached your first goal, which is to have 3 trips in 2016 where they're full and have 10 people. And you have reached probably your second goal, which is to reach the $240,000 in revenue. So you can see that by reaching your individual goal, you're helping to achieve the company goals within the year. Now, number 2 is very similar. Maybe because your co-owner is responsible for finding the employees, maybe your job is to onboard and train the employees. So you can see how your individual goals may differ, but it helps you to maintain focus because you can then very clearly know and understand what you need to focus on and what you need to take on and what your co-owner might need to take on. Number 3 might be referring to company goal number 4, which would be to complete an interior design for the new space. Like we said, maybe we want to, in 2016, we want to have the new space, and maybe as your job as a co-owner is to design that new space and to make sure that it's up and running. And so this would be your individual goal for the company goal number 4. Like I said in the slide before, something really important from an individual perspective is to think about your personal goals, the things that you need to do in order to be the best boss, the best owner, the best solopreneur, entrepreneur that you can be. And so maybe here we have a goal that is to maintain regular exercise, right? That may be really important. Or maybe you're thinking about buying a house this year, or maybe you're thinking about having a family. Who knows what it is? But really consider what you need in your personal life to be able to commit yourself fully to achieving your business goals. This is really important to keep track of, and I just want to make sure that as you're planning out your individual goals, you're not only thinking about the way you can achieve goals within the business, but also how you can do that for yourself. Okay, so the next step then is we start to create strategies. And strategies are those big bucket areas that align with your goals. So if the mission, the vision, and the values are aligned with your why, the company goals and the individual goals are aligned with your what, and your strategies and tactics start to align with your how you're actually going to reach these goals. And so strategies, we're thinking about this then on an individual level. So we are taking all of those individual goals and we're breaking them down into bigger bucket areas that will help you reach those goals. And I'd like you to think about at least one strategy for each goal and then assign a metric to that strategy. So in our example, if we're at that travel company, if we're going to refer back to individual goal number 1, we may need to distribute a weekly newsletter. Well, what is that weekly newsletter going to do? Well, we believe that by distributing the weekly newsletter, we are going to have access to more potential customers, and we may get those customers to purchase one of the trips, which then fills those 3 trips that we want to have in 2016. Another strategy here that would support your individual goal would be maybe you want to set up a vendor booth at local events, and that's where you get people to sign up. Or maybe you have a direct mail campaign, or maybe you heavily leverage social media. You can see how these bigger bucket items will help to support your individual goal, but there could be multiples of them. And so if we look at strategy number 2, we're referring back to individual goal number 2, which is to develop an onboarding process. And so if your job and your goal in 2016 is to onboard those 3 employees, then one of the first things you need to do is start to develop that onboarding process. Because if you try to go straight into tactics, you may be all over the place. So we are just helping you to funnel your focus here. Then if we look at number 3, we're referencing individual goal number 3, which would be work with an interior design partner. By working with an interior design partner, we can put the plan in place, which is our individual goal. And then we will have our hand in the company goal, which is to move into the new space within 2016. Now, it's important to note here that one of our strategies aligns with our personal goal to maintain our health and our exercise regimen. And so let's say that one of our strategies is to identify and stick with a workout class schedule in the morning or the evening, or you could do whatever works for you. I know this is always changing, especially as an entrepreneur or as a business owner. You never know what your day is going to look like. So I think just making sure that you are consistently looking at this and trying to find a schedule that works for you, whether, like I said, it's about exercise or home buying or nutrition, whatever it is that you want to build in here, just making sure that you build the personal goal in here as well, or the personal strategy. So now after we have strategies, like I said, we're still in the how section. And we're going to go deeper into that how section by defining a tactical roadmap that aligns with our strategies. And the tactical roadmap includes very actionable items that help us to develop and complete our strategies. So tactical items could be fairly broad, but they could also be fairly small and very actionable. But what we want to do is we want to break it down into consumable, actionable items and then define when we want to complete that action. So in this case, if we're still at the travel company, if we have our first tactic referring back to strategy number 1, if just to remind you is to set up a weekly newsletter and to send that out on a weekly basis. Well, one of our first steps then would be to set up, let's say, a MailChimp account. And then maybe one of our next tactical items is to create a design or a layout for that newsletter. And then the next one is to create an opt-in screen for our people and our users and our potential customers to sign up and get the weekly newsletter. And then maybe we have a content strategy. So you can see how one strategy breaks down into many tactics. Now, I've only included one small tactic on this page just for you to look at. But you can see how for each of the various strategies, we have at least one tactic that will support it. Now, I do recommend that as you build out your strategies to at least put as detailed of action items as you need. Some people can action from a less detailed list. They may even be able to action directly from the strategy. But for someone like me, I really like to be thoughtful about how I need to get things done and when I need to get things done in order to maintain my focus and make sure that I'm constantly leveling back up and doing everything I need to do to get to those goals. So as we go through the tactics, here we are also referencing each of the strategies. We're documenting the main processes by 12/2. We're researching and finding 5 good designers by November 13th. And we are then trying a yoga class for the first week of 11/16. So you can see that we're creating tactics for each of these areas. Now, I call this the dashboard and the roadmap, the structure of this. And the reason being is, as you can see, as you're working through your goals, your strategies, and your tactics, it can get very cumbersome. And so if you're working off of a Word document, it's probably a little bit more difficult to grasp and to maintain. So what I like to do is use this template. And this Excel spreadsheet, this tool template, allows me to understand and always revert back to my purpose, my vision, my mission. And then it allows me to see at one look, I can see my company goals, I can see my individual goals. And what you don't see here is that below the individual goals, we have the strategies. And so within one view, you can see the health of the organization, the health of how you're progressing toward your goals, and you can really start to see your growth in one view, which is really helpful. Now, you may be wondering, well, how do you see all the detailed information? Well, I like to see it in a more visual way. So what I've done is I create a tactical roadmap, which allows me to take all of the big strategy buckets and then break those strategies down into my tactical items and assign a week in which I need to complete that tactical item. So as an entrepreneur, you know that you have a ton of things going on at once. There's always something to do and everything is a priority. But this helps you to put it in place to make sure that you're doing the right thing right now that's going to help you get to where you want to go. That's why this tactical roadmap is so important. But also, like I've been saying all along, it's really helpful because if you have a lot of stuff going on, you can put it in here and then you have your structure in place and then you can flex and flow around it as life happens. So because this is very usable and it's very visual, you can move stuff around, change the dates, and of course, hold yourself accountable, but you can change as you need to. So this tool is incredibly helpful, the dashboard and the roadmap, to help you set the structure in place and then very easily manage that structure. Some other helpful suggestions that I just want to share with you guys this evening would be to work with an accountability partner. Find someone who is invested within the business, whether that's a loved one, a friend, a family member, or maybe it's another person, another entrepreneur, another small business owner. And you can kind of run through these on a monthly or a 6-month basis. And they're going to help you stay accountable to those goals and stay accountable to the strategies and tactics that you've put in place. And ask you the tough questions that will help you to identify whether you're holding yourself back and fearful of moving forward, or if you really are hitting barriers and obstacles that you need to work through. Or if you're growing and you're hitting every deadline, and that's amazing too. I would also think about leveraging an advisory board, finding a couple people who can help guide you, who have experience in different areas, whether that be finance or operations or marketing, people who can help you move your business forward based on their experience and knowledge. I would also, this is something a little bit smaller and it's something that I find to be really helpful. I create a vision board for the year to come and everything that I want to create. And then in my tabs on my computer, I put the vision board right next to my dashboard so that I'm constantly looking at what I want to achieve. And that helps me just remind myself on a daily basis why I'm doing what I'm doing and also what I'm working toward. So I can keep my focus a little bit better. And I love envisioning, everything that this whole dashboard means. Another tool and another way that I keep myself focused and I think is really helpful for people is to align your daily and weekly schedule with your strategies and tactics. So I create blocks of time on my calendar that align with those big bucket areas so that I know I'm constantly working toward those things. And that just helps keep me focused again. And then also helps me make very thoughtful decisions when I'm planning meetings or when I'm scheduling client calls. I can really be thoughtful about what I'm supposed to be using my time on and know if I'm creating an environment where, I'm not really doing any work to get to where I'm going and I'm not spending time on any of that, but spending time on things that aren't moving me forward. And so I can be more thoughtful about that. I would also recommend you review your goals often. So be thinking about it and keep it in mind about what you really want to achieve. I try to review mine daily. Now, granted, like I said, life happens and I don't get to do that all the time, but I think it is important to keep them top of mind and really keep looking back at them so that as you're actioning these things, you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. It's really helpful. So something I want to share with you before we get to the Q&A is I'm doing this for everyone to prepare for 2016, but I think it's really fun. It's really exciting. And it's a program that I'm putting together, a group program that allows us to plan ahead now and thrive in 2016. I'm excited for it because I like doing these things in a group setting that allows us to have conversation and a community around it. And it almost organically creates that accountability system that I was just talking about. But it is a 3-week program that is dedicated to helping you get ahead and stay ahead in 2016. It really allows you to create, and I mean, the core focus is on helping you customize your own dashboard and your own roadmap to stay in alignment with where you want to go in the next year. Now, like I said, you get the custom roadmap, the custom dashboard, guidance on the daily scheduling things in the vision board, and also the support and interaction with the community. I think that's one of the biggest value pieces of any of this would be working with the group to think ahead and then stay accountable. Those relationships that you build will really help you to stay accountable throughout the year. And then, of course, the guidance of a business coach and consultant. I'm there to help you through these tough situations. And sometimes when you get into these things, you think, okay, is this a goal? Is it a strategy? Is it a tactic? Am I completely off base? So I help my clients through that. I would help you through that. I have individual calls with each of the people within the program. But that just allows you to create a tactical roadmap and a strategic plan that gets you where you want to go in 2016. And I think a lot of the benefits that we see from this are the clarity of the brand and the execution strategy, what you're actually going to be doing in 2016. I think it helps with the financial waste that we have. A lot of times when we're operating on our own without a plan, we often will spin our wheels and we'll lose some time, we'll lose some money, especially on investing in things. And think about the money and time and energy we save if we know why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it, and really working with someone to help you get there. I think it also creates the efficiencies and the speed to market that we often want as entrepreneurs. We don't have a ton of time. So getting really clear on these things and thinking about them ahead of time will really help you to get to the market faster and get the results that you intend to get. And then early and lasting alignment with vision and goals. I think it's not only the biggest piece of this is not only creating the strategic plan, but then staying in alignment with it. If we're not really holding ourselves accountable, then it doesn't make sense to create it. But if we consistently look back on it and stay in alignment with those vision and goals, we are probably going to make it to where we wanted to be in the next 12 months, which is very exciting. So you can head on over to the website if you want to sign up for that. I'm also sending it via email after the webcast, but it'll be something really valuable for the whole group if you're wanting to sign up. And then I just want to thank you for joining me this evening. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk through strategic planning and really think about what's ahead. I think it'll be really valuable for you to implement some of these things. And I'm going to head on over to see if we have any questions or comments in the questions box or the topics area. If you want to chat through anything, let me know and we can do that. Okay, well, it doesn't look like we currently have any questions or anything that we want to chat about. So I just want to say if you want to chat with me later or if you want to get a hold of me, you can reach me at this email or on my website. And like I said, you can sign up for the program in December or January and plan ahead for 2016. I'm looking forward to hearing from you, and thank you so much for joining me this evening.